Hey guys, how's it going? Afternoon. I'm getting ready to go up to Indiana, so I'm hitting the road and just pulled over real quick because I wanted to just kind of make a statement about some my videos and when I'm talking about numbers and stuff. I had somebody that commented earlier today that I stated that, well, you do 4,500 miles a week, which is what I want to do in a week. Running twice back and forth to Houston up to Indiana. That I was using that as part of a broader example. When I was talking about maintenance and the amount of mileage you're putting on the truck and this and that. And the guy, was saying, well, how are you going to put in 4,500 miles? You don't have that kind of hours in your logbook to put in that kind of mileage. And I did comment back to the guy, but I felt that I wanted just to kind of give everybody a general idea. Look, I make estimates, okay? I told the guy, look, it's not 4,500 miles, it's like 43 and change. All right. And I'm talking about, I want to do 2 a week, but yeah, I understand that is kind of that's a tough order to call. And he's like, well, how can you drive certain miles, so you have to be averaging 71 miles an hour to be able to do that. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not driving that many miles. I made that as an estimate. Second of all, I'm driving a pickup. I'm not driving a semi. So when I'm driving half of that miles empty. Right now, here on the highway that I'm on, it's all 75. Yeah, I got to pass through a few small towns, but pretty much it's 75. And you hit certain areas and same thing, 75 or 70. And if I'm going along with the flow of traffic, flow of traffic sometimes doesn't always do 70 or 75. Officially I'm doing the official limit, but if you're going with the flow of traffic, sometimes it's different. That's what I want to say. And I can get a lot more mileage empty, obviously, and loaded. It's not going to be as many. But again, I'm not under the same restrictions as a semi because I don't weigh 80,000 pounds. I can go through half the weigh stations and don't have to stop. Why? Because they state, if you're under 5 tons, we don't need to see you. If you're under 8 tons, we don't need to see you. They say that. It states that on the weigh stations. If you're under a certain weight limit, you don't need to go through their weigh station. So yeah, I don't have to go through those places at every stop when I'm running empty. I don't have to do a lot of things that a truck driver has to do. Again, that's one of the things I said earlier when I said those are the pros and cons of having a CDL and the difference between a truck driver and a RV transport driver. Unless you're one of those guys that's towing with a trailer that you have multi-units on top, the tow and haul guys. I'm not doing the same thing, guys. You're not going to do the same thing. And again, I want to have more deadhead miles, but again, a semi-truck doesn't get 18, 20 miles to the gallon. A truck's been getting better gas mileage. Right now, I'm 18.6. And right now I've been doing about 75. That's what the speed limit is here in this area. So it is what it is. But another thing I wanted to just make a quick comment to everybody. I make estimates, and I try to err on the side of not overestimating things. For example, when I talked earlier, if you saw my other video about Truck 101, I really underestimated the value of the truck. I know my truck, with 400,000 miles, being that it's a Lariat, knowing that I take care of it, I just had it cleaned and detailed. I had my seats cleaned and I did my service. I've got all my records. I know that I'm going to get a lot more than $7,000, but I don't want to put that because I'm trying to err on the side of, well, what if it's less? So I always try to go below that. Or, for example, talking about my weight. I was talking the other day in one of my other videos about how much my truck weighs. It's exactly, I weighed it At the weigh station, 89.60. And what did I tell you? I rounded it off to 9,000. Why? Because I just wanted to make it err on the side of not crossing the line of being overweight. You know, I said 17,000 miles. Technically, yeah, I could go 17,000 and whatever the rest of it is. But again, I wanted to err on the side of not making it illegal or unsafe or making it an unrealistic number. Another example, I posted some numbers for my trip to Indiana to Mathis, and some of the numbers I posted as far as the earnings I made were less. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was actually a lot more money. But what they had done is they had taken out the deposit, because I told you these guys are going to start taking out the money for your deposit account until they reach that. Well, when I saw the amount, it didn't break that whole amount down. It just showed me you're getting paid $14.80, and it didn't tell me that until I saw another email, and I was like, oh, it actually was $1,600 and some. But they took out $160 for that deposit and $30 for the yard fee. So it was actually $200 more. But again, for the purposes of here to show you guys, you still can make money. You still are going to make a good living. I erred on the side of less. So I always will do these kind of things, guys, so that, you know, it doesn't, you know, I'm not going to be exact, but I'm not going to give you these crazy numbers where I could have said, oh, I made $1,700, and I really didn't even make $1,700. Or I could have told you, yeah, I made 16 and change, but I didn't tell you that, oh, they took out the other fees, right? I just went with the lowest number because that was the number they were going to put into my comm card, and I just used that as my example. And then later on, I explained it. One of my guys was questioning that, and I went and broke it down in a comment. But again, that's what I was doing. So don't take me literally, guys. You know, sometimes there's some numbers that I take averages out, or, you know, I may move over, but I move them over to the, it's gonna make it better if they're the real numbers. In other words, it's gonna be more money, or it's going to be less cost, or something like that. I always try to just round off to the higher number, or depending on what I'm talking about, maybe sometimes the lowest number, like for example the value of the truck. So I always will do that because again, I don't want to be cutting myself short at the end of the day. And yes, I explained that to the guy. It's not 4,500 miles, it's less miles. Something else that I don't you know, say, yeah, it may be two a week, and then I may have to take a couple of days off. So in the grand scheme of things, it may not be two exactly every single week. Yeah, there may be a week where, you know, downtime, I have service to do my truck and personal business, and it might take a day or two to get all that knocked out, and yeah, then I don't even have enough time to do the whole 2 a week. You know, I may carry over into the next week. It may happen. You know, hey, we have a short month. If you have February, you're 28 days. You know, if you have 1 month, you have 31 days. You have another month that's 5 weeks. One month it's 4 weeks. So it's all going to average out at the end of the whole scenario, guys. You know, and then the other thing too, in my case, my wife, for example, I'm going to go pick up this run, come back. We're going to turn around and go back. But my wife is going to be joining me, so I'm going to let my wife drive. She can drive. She used to pull trailers too when she was helping me out when I was doing this 10 years ago. So, you know, she's going to help me out, and we're just going to try to knock out a couple of, maybe an extra run this next week, so that we can get, you know, we'll be at the average of 2 a week or so. Won't be like that every week, but hey, guys, it's an average. It's what I think at the end of the day, in a month, in the grand scheme of things, you know, in a 4 or 5 week period. Yeah, if you take 5 weeks, and maybe I'm not doing 2 a week, but if I do one a week, and then 2 another week, and then 3 another week with my wife here, you know, at the end of the month, it'll average out probably 8 a month. You know, might be one more 1 month, one less 1 month. It's an average, guys. That's all it is. So, you know, this guy was just starting to insinuate, well, you know, what are you doing? Because that's what it came across to me like, and I was like, no, dude, it's just, I'm trying to do estimates here, but I'm trying to be honest, and I am honest, and I do try to make these numbers realistic. And like I've always said, guys, it's an average. It's not exact science. and as things go by, we'll do this. All right, man. Talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.